Hand up.
Matt, it really seemed like in the second half the run was kind of stopped by Ethan Morton coming in. How'd your defense respond to that second half?
Yeah, we were getting pretty good shots, and they weren't going down to start the second half. Their shots were. So obviously they made a quick, they closed the gap that media timeout by around 10 points. And, when we subbed right there, I thought defensively, I thought Cam did some good things, and I thought Ethan did some good things. And they were able to push that lead back. I think that's, what we talk about with those guys is like, what's the score when you come in versus the score when you sub back out. And so, it takes everybody. And those guys have done a really good job defensively for us, Cam and Ethan. And, we started Mason to start the second half just from an offensive spacing purpose. And he played really well in the first half. And then when Trey came in, it's funny how that works, right? Trey played really well when he subbed back in for Mason, did a lot of really good things. So just proud of our guys, total team effort.
Matt, you know how these rivalry games can go. What does it say about your guys coming into your hostile environment and getting out of it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of great wins, but a lot of great neutral court wins. And that's really helped our resume. But we haven't, outside of winning at Maryland, we haven't really played that well on the road, true road games. This is just our fourth game. So we needed a game like this. We needed to play better. We needed to shoot better. But we also needed to give ourselves a chance and not turn the ball over. I thought, you look at the box score, we gave ourselves a chance. But when you get into these rivalry games, anything can go. So like when they, quickly cut our lead by 10 points, and it's exactly what you're thinking, right? I know you guys have never stood up there and coached a game, but it's, you really think at that time, like it's at 4 possessions, 5 possessions, it can happen. But you got to keep your poise and keep your patience and just keep doing what, you did to get in that position.
Not just the offensive plays you got from Fletcher to slower stop their runs.
Right.
Just what did that kind of say about him in those moments?
Yeah, the 3 he made in the second half was big, when they were making that run, and I think he pushed it back to 14, and it was at 11. But, just had timely shots. It was very, very steady for us. Tonight going 5 for 6 and, 4 for 4 from 3 and getting 19 points. But Fletch is a good player. He does a great job of playing off of Brady and does a great job of playing off of Zach.
At the very first media timeout of the game, put Mason in right after that. He goes right at Baco. Baco picks up the second.
Yeah.
Is that maybe the first step in putting you on the right path?
Yeah.
Baco started well.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's talented. And, his ability to make shots and his ability to do things off the bounce a little bit, he's really coming. He's one of those guys that's going to be really good next year. And he's had that learning curve. You watch him the first 5 or 6 games, and now you watch him now. He's a different player. He's guarding, he's defending, he's doing what coach wants him to do. But now it's a big play. When you can come in there, you can bring guys like Mason Gillis off your bench, Caleb First off your bench, Ethan, Cam, Miles, all those guys. It's a real spark because they're really not, subs. They're really starters that had come off the bench.
Matt, last year, Braden left here, and I think he was a little down with the way that ended. Tonight, his shot's not going down, but he did a lot of other things to help you guys win the game. I think that kind of shows the maturity of this kid, right?
Yeah, Braden's a good player. He's competitive. He's got poise, sees the floor, takes to coaching, understands like what they're trying to do, what they're trying to take away. Has a good feel for where Zach is and what Zach's trying to do. You got to give him time. Sometimes to get back in there, depending on how they're guarding him. But no, outside of just his finishes, we just got to do a better job of working with him on some of his speed dribble finishes because he's good. He's good at that. And tonight it just didn't fall for him. But, he was in control of the game. He had the ball in his hands more than anybody on that court, and he was definitely in control.
And I'm sure Zach probably took last year kind of personal. What more can you say about him and what is almost certainly his last trip here?
Yeah,
play the way he did.
Oh, he's a good player. He didn't shoot a great percentage. It's a really good game for him. We kept him in there a long time. He didn't get very many breaks. He played 36 minutes. And I thought when he got fatigued, he missed a couple, but I also thought he got fatigued. And, he made a couple. He kept going at Ware, kept, holding him accountable. But, Zach's the best. There's no way around it. He rebounds the basketball. He causes a lot of attention. You see when he goes one-on-one, he's going to draw some fouls. He's going to score the basketball. He accumulates a lot of rebounds. He's a real tough cover.
Ware and Renew finished pretty far below their season scoring numbers. Just what did it take defensively to kind of limit those guys?
Yeah, Renew was the guy for us. We thought that, he was the one. We gave him a lot of attention. So when he dribbled and when he was extended, we put another guy there. We went at him, tried to double him. We got in a couple rotations and got burned that way. But he's so good when he gets to his right shoulder and gets to the middle, whether he's driving it or he's posting. So you gotta keep him off the glass. He had 2 offensive rebounds, but he's a good player. That combination, is Ware's ability to stretch the defense. For us, that puts us in a bind a little bit. Anytime that people can stretch us out. But Zach's gotten so much better in ball screen defense and switching and guarding people and doing different things. But we had Ware in USA basketball. He's a talent. But I obviously, I always say the adjustment to go against Zach, it takes a game. It takes a game just to kind of feel your way through it. It's like playing a good pressing team, and you press in practice, and you're not a pressing team. And okay, we're ready for this team. And then you get to the game, and it's like, oh shit, we didn't see this in practice. Like he ain't seeing that in practice. And so that's difficult to see someone that can move that's 7'4", 300, size 20s, that plays hard every single play. You just, who the hell's diving up 18 at 7'4", 300? Like it just kind of shows you who he is.
And you mentioned earlier the importance of doing well on a road game coming into it. What do you find out about a team when they do that? What do you find out?
Just the resolve. Like that isn't easy. Like that's an unbelievable environment. Like the fans here are amazing, man. They come out, they support their team. They've been spoiled through the years. They've had some great teams here. A lot of tradition here, but to be able to come in here to be up 22 at half is a huge statement for our team. Like just the confidence, and because we've come back-to-back years and, in the first half been terrible. But I think a lot of that has to do with the fans and the players of Indiana. They made us play that way. And tonight, we didn't. But we did it in this Hornets nest, which is a big compliment to our team.
You mentioned Mason. How pleased were you with the minutes you got from Caleb and Ethan as well?
Yeah, Ethan played well. Ethan came in and defended, did some really good things, made good decisions. Caleb had some really good minutes in the first half. We stayed with Zach a little bit more in the second half, so that shortened it for him. I thought Mason had a really good first half. He really helped us in that first half. You look at his plus minus. Then at the start of the second half, we just felt like we had to get somebody more physical on Renew after we had that struggle the first 5-6 minutes. And I thought Trey Kaufman did a really good job.
Matt, people are talking about Zach now as a lottery player.
Mm-hmm.
What improvements have you seen that make him a lottery player?
Yeah, well, we've veered more in ball screens. We've switched more when the ball's gotten deep. And so his ability to guard the basketball, his ability to get out on the perimeter, when you compare it to somebody 6'8", 210, it's a lot different, right? But when you compare it to people his size, he's really moving. Like he's really doing a good job. He makes his free throws. He can shoot on the perimeter. I just don't let him, even though people get upset about it. But who would really like if he shot on the perimeter? Those guys guarding him. They'd really like that. I love just keep going at it like a football mentality. Just keep making him pay. Just keep posting. You're not going to keep the guy, right? He's not going to be a 15-year vet at Purdue, right? You don't keep him. Like you gotta let them play to their strengths right there. But no, he protects the rim better. When he gets a foul, we get him to stay on his feet. So when you saw Sparks make that one and do whatever, our whole bench is just yelling at him to stay down, just stay down, because we don't need him to get two. We don't. And so a little bit of that. But he's improved defensively. He's a willing passer. He doesn't have the bullshit because he didn't get recruited. That's the best way I can say it. These guys get recruited and they come here and then they got to field a team. And now you've got to come in and play a role. It's like the great college players. If you can't rebound and you can't defend and you can't play a role in the NBA, you can't play in the NBA outside of 3 or 4 guys in a draft. Right? You got to be able to do those things. He does a lot of little things that help the team win. And so that's why I think they got a place there for him, because those things have improved. But he can rebound, he can pass, he can score this back to the basket. I think he's got a spot.
Right. Matt, just Lance made a bunch of throws for you, including they were right for the half.
Yeah.
Where do you kind of view his three-point shooting at this point in terms of your overall offensive picture, his volume and whatnot?
Yeah, just playing off of other people. When you get into the situation and you have a great point guard and you have a great big guy that garner a lot of attention, just take what comes your way. And, obviously he made the one that they called the illegal screen on. So he was 3 for 7, but he would have been 4 for 8. I liked at the end of the game just how hard he ran on the break and went and got us a couple layups. We've had teams where we didn't have that, right? And so when we had Carson or we had J.I., those guys could get us those type of buckets. But when we haven't had those type of guys, he's not at their level. But that's what we need. You know, we need him to be able to steal some baskets in transition and then just take his threes that come his way.
You talked about Mbako and Ware and the impact that they had. I think it was 12-9 when both those guys came out in the first half.
Yeah.
And then by the time they came back, you guys are really pulled away. What do you feel like changed for Indiana with those guys off the floor, and what were you able to take advantage of?
Yeah, well, you have a little bit of a drop off. When you're like, Khalil Ware and Mbaka are probably going to be in the NBA, right? And you have a little bit of a drop off. Zach-Edey gets in foul trouble, he goes out. Even though we have good players, you have a little bit of a drop off, right? And so, that's what you want to be able to do, and that's what I constantly try to do through the development of our program and have guys is make sure you have enough guys when foul trouble hits or injuries hit, you have guys that are ready to roll and ready to play. And that's really hard because everybody wants to start. Everybody wants to play 30 minutes. It doesn't work that way. So it's hard to field a team these days in this landscape, but we definitely took advantage of it. No different than Nebraska took advantage of us when Zach went out at the end of the first half in our game with them.
That's one way. You mentioned this play earlier, but was your favorite play with Zach tonight to see him go to the floor after the loose ball?
Yeah, no question. Instinctually do it. Not we had to I guess I got to do this. He instinctually dove and got us a loose ball and got the possession back. No question about it. So he's fun to coach.
Thank you.